Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about demand. We are starting our supply and demand unit, so demand is where we're going to start first. Demand's kind of the easiest one to start with before we start combining everything, which is why we like to start there. So we're just going to do a few basic terms, follow along, stop if you need to write it down for notes, and I will try to explain everything the best I can. So markets and competition make up demand. Markets is just a group of buyers and sellers of a particular good and service. We are all part of a market. We are all a group of buyers, and we can be a group of sellers as well. If you guys have ever sold anything, whether it be on Facebook or Craigslist or, I don't know, maybe a service, maybe a lawn mowing service or lemonade, you guys are all considered a market. So market is just that group. It's just lumped everything together. And the important piece with demand is that, sorry, I had to go back and forth, buyers determine the demand. So us, we are the buyers. We are going to determine how much we demand of a certain product. The best thing to think of is like an iPhone, right? Or a new technology piece that's coming out. We are going to determine how much we want to buy that product at and how much we're going to buy it at. Sometimes there's not enough product, though, to meet demand. Sellers are going to determine how much to give us. Apple's super smart at this strategy, and that's why I like to use Apple quite a bit. When iPhones first come out, not everyone can get their hands on them. Sometimes you have to pre-order, sometimes you have to wait several months, especially if it's a really good new phone. So that's why sellers are going to determine the amount of supply they're putting out there. How much are we going to put on the shelf? And buyers are going to determine how hot that item is. Think of every holiday season. There's always one hot gift that everyone wants, and the sellers are going to determine how much they think they should supply, and we're going to determine how much demand there should be for that item. I think Hatchimals is like the most recent one I can think of, where everyone wanted a Hatchimal and there wasn't enough supply out there because I think the seller didn't really think it was going to be the hot item of the season, but it was. I didn't even own a Hatchimal, so I don't even know what they do, but all right, what is demand? Demand is the amount of good that buyers are willing and able to purchase. So we all want goods, right? But we can't always purchase them. So demand is how much are we willing and able to put out there. And with the law of demand, we're going to have arrows, all right? We're going to use the arrows quite a bit throughout demand and supply. And we'll talk about this in class quite a bit as well. But because it's such a short week this week when we are starting it, I figured I'd record my notes. So law of demand is just when the quantity of demand goes down, okay, the price of the good goes up. So I like to always use holiday decorations. After Halloween, all of the decorations at Target go half off. All of a sudden, demand for those products goes up. So they go in opposite directions. If a Halloween decoration is $1,000, the demand for that decoration is going to go down. But once it's half off, the demand for it's going to go up. Think of like a McDonald's hamburger. If a McDonald's hamburger is $1,000, no one's going to buy it. So demand for that product is going to go down. So demand arrows always go in opposite directions. So that's why you see those two arrows on here. As the price of a good rises, the demand goes down. And then they can also flip-flop. As the price of a good goes down, the demand can go up. This is going to be a graph we're going to do, and I'm going to put it on your next slide here. We're going to look at the price of ice cream cones and the quantity of ice cream cones. Just from looking at this demand schedule, that's all it's called right here is this table. Look how many ice cream cones are demanded when the ice cream cones are free. All right, that makes sense. So at $0, 12 ice cream cones are demanded. At 50 cents, only 10 ice cream cones are demanded. And these are just numbers that I put together to illustrate what demand looks like on a graph. So like I said, at $0, okay? At $3, no one wants your ice cream cone. At $2.50, 2 people will buy your ice cream cone. At $2, 4 people will buy it. At $1.50, 6 people will buy it. At $1, 8 people will buy it. At $10, or at 50 cents, 10 people will buy it. And at $0, 12 people want your ice cream cone. Demand always goes down. D for down. Write that in your notes. Okay, demand line always goes down no matter what. And we'll try to do some examples of these. If this lesson and unit takes us a little bit longer, that's okay too. But demand will always go down. Always, always, always. So that's why the line is going down. It's illustrating that at a really high price, no one's going to want to buy your good. But at a really low price, a lot of people want to buy your good. Along with demand, you also have a movement, okay? A movement is just along the demand curve, which is that line. That's just moving from dot to dot. So any change in quantity is going to be called a movement. That's just the moving from dot to dot, whether it's from 12 people to 10 people. And along with that, it's caused by a change in the price of the product, which you can see on the chart. So anytime there's a movement, it's always related to price. It's never related to anything else. So looking at this graph one more time, okay, we got the price of the ice cream cones over here. We have the quantity of the ice cream cones over here. And this graph is just going to show us that a tax that increases the price of the ice cream cone results in a movement along the demand curve. Because it's a tax, that is an issue with the price. So therefore, you're going to have that movement along this demand line, which is called the demand curve. So that right there from A to B is going to illustrate a movement. There can be lots of things that can affect the change in demand, which are going to require the line to shift. And that's also going to be what your assignment is on this week as well. Shifts in the demand curve are caused by several things. A shift in the demand curve can either shift to the left or the right. And if that doesn't make sense to you, I'm going to show you on the next few slides. And it can be caused by any change that alters the quantity demanded at every single price. So because we're talking about ice cream cones, that could be the price in milk. Or maybe there's a shortage of milk, all right? That would change everything at every price. It doesn't matter how much it is. So let's look here. Here's our demand line, okay? So remember how I said a shift can occur? A shift can occur to the right, and that would be an increase in demand. And you would just draw another line right next to our main demand line. That's why that line is red. The main line is blue, that's our demand line, and the shift is going to be a red line. Whenever you're shifting to the right, that's an increase. Whenever you're shifting to the left, that's going to be called a decrease. These are all the things that can shift demand. Taste. All of a sudden, no one has taste buds for ice cream. I don't know. I just made that up. If that happens, all of a sudden the demand for ice cream is going to go down, and our line would shift to the left. That's a decrease. What if consumer income, we all of a sudden are given $1 million? We might demand more ice cream. So that would mean our demand line would shift to the right. Another one I also like to talk about is R, which is prices of related goods. So what happens if all of a sudden ice cream cones, like a waffle cone, okay, is a penny to make? People might then want more ice cream because a waffle cone is so cheap. That's going to be your substitutes, and you should remember that from your worksheet. That's going to be your complements, excuse me. So this is just going to show an increase in income. We want more ice cream. That's going to show a shift to the right, which is why our line is shifting to the right. All of a sudden, there's a decrease in income. We all lost our money. We have no money anymore. We can't buy ice cream. So that's going to be a decrease in demand, and that's why it's shifting to the left. With prices of related goods, this is also in your worksheet, but just to review, when a fall in the price of one good reduces the demand for another good, the two goods are substitutes. Substitutes can be switched out, kind of like Coke and Pepsi, all right, or pencils and pens. Those are substitutes. I don't think Coke and Pepsi taste different. I'm sure some of you are shaking your heads telling me no, but substitutes can get switched out completely. Complements go hand in hand, all right? You can't have a hot dog without ketchup and mustard, or you need a bun with your hot dog. That's a complement. They go together. a DVD and a DVD player, even though no one really has those anymore. Car and gas. You need gas to use your car. That's a complement. Those things can also cause shifts in demand. Here's a few other examples of substitutes. They're just goods in place of one another. And the sad part is I bet you all can figure out where these hamburgers are from just by looking at them. And complements are just two goods that are bought and used together. Peanut butter and jelly, cars and gas, DVD players, ketchup and mustard. Those are all complements. Few additional vocabulary words for you to write down. Remember, just pause it at any time if I go too fast. The income effect, this is just a change in consumption resulting from a change in real income. So you get paid more, you buy more. That's easy. Normal goods, these are goods that a consumer demands more of when their income increases. So if I'm making more money, I might buy a nicer car. Like that car on the screen. I don't even know who makes that. Maserati, maybe? Inferior goods, these are goods that consumers demand less of when their income increases. So if I'm starting to make more money, I might not eat as much ramen. And the substitution effect, don't worry about that. That's not on your test. That was more from last year. But otherwise, that's it for notes today. Good luck with everything. Let me know if you need any help as usual.